Thomas Alva Edison is often described as America's greatest inventor. He's not only an inventor but also a businessman who lived from February 11, 1847 to October 18, 1931. He invented a variety of gadgets in the domains of electric power generation, mass communication, sound recording, and motion pictures. The phonograph, motion picture camera, and early versions of the electric light bulb are among the inventions that have had a significant impact on the modern industrialized world. Edison was taught reading, writing, and arithmetic by his mother, who used to be a school teacher. He attended school for only a few months. However, one biographer described him as a very curious child who learned most things by reading on his own. As a child, he became fascinated with technology and spent hours working on experiments at home. Edison developed hearing problems at the age of 12. The cause of his deafness has been attributed to a bout of scarlet fever during childhood and recurring untreated middle ear infections. He subsequently concocted elaborate fictitious stories about the cause of his deafness. It is known that early in his career, he enrolled in a chemistry course at the Cooper Union for the Advancement of Science and Art to support his work on a new telegraphy system with Charles Batchelor. This appears to have been his only enrollment in courses at an institution of higher learning. Thomas Edison began his career selling candies, newspapers, and vegetables on the train running from Port Huron to Detroit. He turned a $50 a week profit by age 13, most of which went to buy equipment for electrical and chemical experiments. He became a telegraph operator after he saved 3-year-old Jimmy Mazzini from being struck by a runaway train. Jimmy's father, station agent J.U. Mazzini of Mount Clemens, Michigan, was so grateful that he trained Edison as a telegraph operator. Edison's first telegraphy job away from Port Huron was at Stratford Junction, Ontario, on the Grand Trunk Railway. He was held responsible for a near collision. He also studied qualitative analysis and conducted chemical experiments on the train until he left the job. Thomas Edison was not successful in inventing the bulb initially. These early bulbs all had flaws such as an extremely short life and requiring a high electric current to operate, which made them difficult to apply on a large scale commercially. In his first attempt to solve these problems, Edison tried using a filament made of cardboard carbonized with compressed lampblack. This burnt out too quickly to provide lasting light. He then experimented with different grasses and canes such as hemp and palmetto before settling on a bamboo as the best filament. Edison continued trying to improve this design and on November 4, 1879, filed for US patent 223-898, which was granted on January 27, 1880, for an electric lamp using a carbon filament or strip coil and connected to platina contact wires. The patent described several ways of creating the carbon filament, including cotton and linen thread, wood splints, papers coiled in various ways. It was not until several months after the patent was granted that Edison and his team discovered that a carbonized bamboo filament could last over 1200 hours. As we already discussed about his inventions, where he was a multi inventor. In his final years, Henry Ford, the automobile magnate, later lived a few hundred feet away from Edison at his winter retreat in Fort Myers. Ford once worked as an engineer for the Edison Illuminating Company of Detroit and met Edison at a convention of affiliated Edison Illuminating Companies in Brooklyn. Edison was impressed with Ford's internal combustion engine automobile and encouraged its development. In 1928, Edison joined the Fort Myers CV10 Club. He believed strongly in the organization, writing that the CV10 Club is doing this big things for the community, state, and the nation. The fleet of cars would serve commuters in northern New Jersey for the next 54 years until their retirement in 1984. A plaque commemorating Edison's inaugural ride can be seen today in the waiting room of Lackawanna Terminal in Hoboken, which is presently operating by New Jersey Transit. Edison became the owner of his mill in Ohio birthplace in 1906. On his last visit in 1923, he was reportedly shocked to find his old home still lit by lamps and candles. Finally, Edison died of complications of diabetes on October 18, 1931, in his home Glenmont in Levin Park in West Orange, New Jersey, which he had purchased in 1886 as a wedding gift for Mina, Reverend Stephen J. Herban. Edison's last breath is reportedly contained in a test tube at the Henry Ford Museum near Detroit. Ford reportedly convinced Charles Edison to seal a test tube of air in the inventor's room shortly after his death as a memento. A plaster death mask and cast of Edison's hands were also made. Maynard died in 1947. Thank you.